locked and loaded for another amazing episode of the Locker Room Show. I'm your host, Coach Wood. We had to get some technical stuff going on the back end, but we are ready, you guys, and we have an amazing show lined up for you tonight. Many of you guys asked about recruiting rankings and how to get more exposure and what camps you should go to, and all of that stuff is going to be covered tonight with our guests. So first and foremost, before we get into it, let me introduce my boy that holds me down on the other side of the defense. What's going on, Guru?
Oh, man, I'm good. Man, I'm feeling good. We got a great guest, and I got ice cold apple juice and animal crackers. We locked in.
So if you want, I was trying to cover for him, but if you want to know why we were late, it's because Snack Man had to get his snacks. So we are excited about tonight's show now that we've got past the intro. And tonight, you guys, we've got the guru. We've got the other guru. We've got the gentleman that has held down the recruiting scene for many years. He has seen the best of the best come through the high school ranks, you guys. He's traveled the country with the extra frequent flyer miles to make sure that the college recruiters and all of the media people know who's the hot prospects out there. Now he has made a change, you guys, a huge change from 24/7 Sports, where he's been at for almost a decade, to now he's going to Rivals and On3. So big news in the recruiting industry, and that's none other than the great Brandon Huffman. What's going on, B?
No, you know what? Just enjoying a little bit of 85-degree weather down here in Arizona. Was sitting out back watching a little basketball during the NCAA tournament, or I guess we're in the conference tournaments, and took a little bit of break from football coverage for a day and enjoyed the sunshine, and now back talking ball.
I love it.
Nice,
I love it.
nice.
Yes, we're getting ready for some March Madness action soon. And like I said, you guys, this is somebody that I've known probably for over a decade, and he's the real deal. When it comes to treating people right, when it comes to covering our sport and the athletes that play this great sport the right way, you guys are looking at the best of the best here, and well respected, you guys, throughout the football industry, and many people wait to hear who he thinks is the best of the best across the country. And like I said, now making the move to Rivals. So this is a huge night where we get to talk over some things. So Brandon, let's get into it, man. I mean, obviously, a labor of love with the recruiting, and you've been doing it for years, and 24/7 Sports has been home. And what made right now the right time to jump ship and go to Rivals?
The timing was right. It's funny. My wife and I moved after 20 years in the Pacific Northwest. I was born and raised in Southern California. We spent 20 years in Seattle, and I was ready to get back down to Southern California, but didn't want to pay Southern California prices. So my wife and I decided, let's move to Arizona. My son's at Arizona State, and I figured I already made one major life move with a move from the Pacific Northwest to Arizona. What was one more? Let's make a complete change of a company. It's the same job, but it's a different company. And what really sold me is the founder and CEO of On3, Shannon Terry. He started the original Rivals back in the early 2000s and sold it to Yahoo, and then decided to start 24/7 a couple years later, sold that to CBS, and actually pursued me a couple of times. And finally, we ended up working together when I was at Scout.com for 14 years. He bought Scout.com and merged it to 24/7. So I spent a few years working with him. He went and started On3. And then when my contract was getting close to being done, he said, hey, let's kind of get this thing going. And he had bought Rivals back a year ago and really wanted to make it the premier recruiting brand that there is. And it's funny because for 23 years, I worked against Rivals. That was like the direct competition. And now I'm wearing Rivals gear, working for Rivals. So I can't say I'm coming
full transfer portal.
100%, and that was kind of the way I did it. And, 180 degree, and this isn't the 360 degree. I'm going the complete opposite side of the spectrum. But the team that he's got from a recruiting standpoint, from the college football coverage standpoint, Pete Nakos, he's nicknamed Portal Pete because he breaks so much portal news. It's really an all-star cast of recruiting writers and college football and NIL insiders. And I thought that was where I wanted to be. That's the next chapter. And the time was right to go. And so I made that move, and I'm excited. I'm back with my guy, Greg Biggins, who I worked with for, almost 15 years.
Nice.
Comment at 24/7. He headed over to Rivals back in November. We're back together. Alan True, who I worked with for 20 years at Scout and 24/7. He and I actually both made the move the same day. I know Adam Munster-Tiger, who covers the University of Colorado with Buff Stampede. He made the same move that same day as well. Then our UCLA site, where I actually got my start covering recruiting, covering UCLA and USC back in 2003. Also made the move. So it was just kind of the perfect storm to make March 1st kind of that new day for me.
Nice.
Wow, that's amazing. And obviously, they picked up a good pickup through the portal, the recruiting media portal. And we see some of our favorites coming in here. The great Ernest Munoz from Texas, as always, says on our way to Cal tomorrow. Yes, his son, Marco Munoz. You'll be hearing about him soon, Brandon, and he's out of Texas, and they're going on an unofficial. We got the great Jimmy Rucker saying the transfer portal continues to provide entertainment. Obviously, we are going to talk a little portal, Jimmy, so, as we always do. Let's get into our next topic, and this one I definitely wanted to talk to you about because, a lot of times we get into the measurables, and I know that's big for you. These kids are going to camps, they're going to showcases, and coaches want to see if they really stack up to where they are on the roster as far as their height and weight. And the interesting thing to me, we even had the great Deion Sanders say, hey, I'm paying particular attention to the measurables at the cornerback position. I'm not recruiting any cornerbacks under 6 feet. So I wanted to ask you guys, because we've had some massive success lately from some guys that are probably a little bit under the standard measurables. Right here, we got Trent McDuffie, who I know you probably saw come out of high school, Brandon, out of Bosco, and he's only 5'11", probably more like 5'10", and he's the highest paid cornerback of all time. We've got the great Brock Purdy, who obviously isn't an Adonis as far as stature, and even somebody like an Aaron Donald, who's known for running over people, but if you see him in person, not the most physically opposing D lineman that you've ever seen. So I'll start off with you, Brandon. Do we overhype measurables sometimes, or is that where we always need to start?
Yeah, 100%. If you just think about what was the biggest story in the NFL today, Kyler Murray going to the Minnesota Vikings. Kyler Murray is not a tall guy. Was the number 1 overall pick in I think it was the 2019 NFL draft or 2020 NFL draft, won the Heisman Trophy at Oklahoma, was a 5-star quarterback coming out of high school. And the quarterback that he took over for, Baker Mayfield, sub 6 foot, Heisman Trophy winner, number 1 pick. A couple years later, the Heisman Trophy winner in 2021, number 1 pick, Bryce Young. So we've had what you would consider the quote unquote outliers at the position 3 times in the last 7 drafts. And for a position, I think back, I turned 50 this year. So I've been watching football since the early 1980s. And I remember when, if you were a 5'9", 5'10" quarterback, you better learn how to play wide receiver. All right. I'm of an era where you had Tony Rice playing quarterback at Notre Dame. You had Major Harris playing quarterback at West Virginia. And it was like, hey, if you're going to go to the NFL, you might need to make a position switch. Now, if you have the arm, you have the mental part of it, you have just the makeup to be a quarterback, you have the arm strength, you have the talent, you can overcome. Lost amidst Sam Darnold winning the Super Bowl this year. The last time the Seahawks won the Super Bowl was Russell Wilson, who was 5'11", 5'10" and a quarter. And I think that too often we see it. And I don't want to, pick on Bay Area fans because he had to deal with the Raiders always falling for the guy who had the measurables. He had the traits. And what did it get him? Not much. So there's too often where if that's the final difference maker in a draft or in a collegiate pick, I want to go with the guy who can help me win football games. And whether that guy is 6'5", whether that guy's 5'10", if he's going to help me win football games, he's going to distribute that ball, he's going to go make plays. That's the guy I want on my team. But more often than not, you're going to have schools, you're going to have coaches that are still going to let the physical numbers. And that's where the analytic part of the game has sometimes been overtaken by common sense.
Yeah. Q, talk to me. I mean, obviously we're Deion fans, being former cornerbacks, but I remember you hit me up when you saw him make this content.
Yeah, dude.
What do you think you're calling his bluff, or you think he's going to stick to that, or what's your feelings on the measurable side of things?
I mean, Prime is not gonna see. Here's the one thing I will say about Coach Prime, and this is going years back. Because I mean, with me, I played football and baseball, man, on a high level, and I studied the man like my whole life, same as I did Bo Jackson. If you look at Deion on tape, his technique was beyond terrible. Mm-hmm. Deion was faster than everyone on the field. He was physical. He had the measurables, and he had the God-given ability. But if you look at him, he was nowhere near the most technically sound corner whatsoever. I'm talking like not even top 20, right? Like he's this absolute terrible technique from top to bottom, right? And I think that's one thing that you get guys that have mastered that were quote unquote undersized is their technicians and the tools that they have, they're mastered. I'll tell one guy, Brandon, I'm sure you can agree. I used to love watching Bob Sanders play.
Mm-hmm.
Love watching Bob Sanders. 5'8", 205, a freaking tank, but you could not stop him. He's coming in the B gap, the A gap. He can cover. He can check tight ends. He's in the deep third. He was freaking everywhere. Darren Sproles, Ray Mickens, Darryl Green. I can keep going.
Green.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
every bit.
First guy that came to mind for me was Darryl Green.
For sure. Maybe 5'8", maybe.
And the fact that he could, he was the fastest man in the league for so many years, obviously was the difference. But again, this is a guy that because of his speed, he was so technically sound. And that's the part where I think you look at what separates good coaches from great coaches is that they're still watching, can this guy play football? And, Trent McDuffie's a great example. I mean, Chris Peterson was one of the premier evaluators. In fact, to this day, one of my best recruiting hits in terms of a ranking was I was the Washington High School State Championship games in 2005. Jake Locker's on one side of the field, who I'm convinced this day, if Jake Locker would have played safety, that guy's John Lynch 2.0. Unfortunately, he threw the ball 10 yards over his receivers' heads too consistently to be a good passer. But the guy could play safety. Well, his senior year, I'm watching them in the state championship game. There's this 5'10" quarterback across the field, this lefty, who's in his fifth read before he gets to the third step in his drop. And I'm like, this guy goes to the right system. He's going to kill it in college. And Kellen Moore ended up being the winningest quarterback in college football history. Did that translate to the NFL? No. But I would never say Kellen Moore had the greatest arm, but he was one of the smartest, craftiest quarterbacks. And Chris Peterson utilized that to be, one of the best coaches and best evaluators. Doug Martin was in that same backfield with Kellen Moore, not the biggest guy in the world. You look at coaches that know how to evaluate football and they don't fall for just what the physical measurables are. Then those are the coaches that are going to win. The coaches that face too much of they got to look the part. Again, not to pick on the Raiders, but it's like, how many times did the Raiders fall into that trap? This guy looks the best, but he couldn't play. I want those guys. Now, if you could find me a guy who's 6'2" that can run like Darryl Green, that can cover like Trent McDuffie, please find that guy.
Right. Absolutely. But you see that more often. And that's one thing, like, when they've commented on this, and Trent McDuffie, gave a response to the media, and he was like, man, I'm technically sound. He is a super technically sound, and he does. I mean, he obviously is gifted. But I mean, you guys do wonder, think about what Antoine Randall L could have been in this era. He would have been a monster, dude.
We talk about guys like that all the time. Like they were just 10 years too soon. That probably, and my Mount Rushmore of recruits that I covered, DeAnthony Thomas plays 5 years later, 7 years later. DeAnthony Thomas is probably still in the NFL. But at that time when he came to the NFL, it was kind of like, what exactly is he going to play? And you think about how many guys that the NFL, just the era, impacted, what kind of impact they could have on the game. And, think about the guys that were in the era that we grew up watching college football in the 90s, in the early 2000s. those guys were just maybe 10, 15 years too early. And you look at him and you can see like, man, that guy could have been special with the way football's played now.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Like when you say that, I think about like Devin Hester and Rocket Ishmael.
Rocket Ishmael, yes.
Oh my God. You have any idea what those guys would do now? Like, it would be insane. Imagine Devin Hester in this era, everything you could do with him. You can put him in running back, you can put him in slot, he can do everything, right? You can put him in wildcat, whatever you want to do. So I totally agree, but man, I detest that is coaches that just only look at measurables. Tape never lies, and you have to look at is this kid a ball player? Is he tough? What is his IQ? And is he technically sound? Because if athletes are technically sound, that means that they don't make a lot of mistakes. When you don't make mistakes, you win. That's as simple as that.
100%.
Great point right there. And I know I'm talking to two people that really watch the film, and they're not all into the measurables. Tell me this, Brandon, because your rankings count. A lot of people are waiting on your rankings, brother. What makes you throw out a kid's measurables when you're watching that quarterback or that running back? What does he have to do to make you say, you know what, I'm putting him at the top or close to the top, regardless of his size?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is what is he doing in the game that is separating him and setting him apart from everybody else. And I think that the best case study for that is you go back to when he was in high school, and it was Bryce Young. Remember, he started at Cathedral High School in Los Angeles his freshman, sophomore year. JT Daniels graduates a year early, goes to USC. So Bryce decides to transfer to Mater Dei for his junior and senior year. And it was a game against IMG, I believe that was his junior year, where IMG was at their peak, loaded. Nolan Smith was on that defense. They were just stacked. And Bryce basically pulled that game out for Mater Dei. And the funny thing was there was a great rivalry at that time between Mater Dei and Bosco, where you had DJ Uyangalele, who was what you looked at in a quarterback, who was the 6'5" guy with the big arm, but he couldn't do the things that Bryce could do. Bryce, his ability to read defenses, the throws that he can make for the size that he was, the way he can make you miss it. And, he goes to Alabama and he sits for a year, behind Mac Jones when he gets there his freshman year, and Mac Jones is the starter. Then the next year, Alabama graduates just about every. Devontae Smith leaves, Najee Harris leaves, and Bryce takes over and takes it to the national championship game. And if, Jameson Williams and John Mechie don't get hurt, I think Alabama wins the national championship. But it was a game against Auburn on the road that Bryce rallied Alabama to win. And then, the next year he has a game against Texas in Austin where they're trailing and he's got to kick a winning field goal. And there was a blitz that Texas had. And I mean, Bryce was dead to rights, and a lot of quarterbacks would panic. Bryce didn't even blink. He just slowly stepped to his left. Deanne goes right by him, delivers the first down pass, keeps the drive alive. And it was just that ability to see receivers that nobody else could find, to find the open receiver, to understand the pressure, to anticipate the pressure, but know when to make the move away. And it's things like that you can measure all the measurables, right? But what you can't measure is what's inside here. And when you got the physical ability, that maybe you don't have the physical traits, but you got the physical ability, but then you have it from here up, that's what's going to separate you and allow you to be what's considered maybe an outlier because of the physical attributes.
Agreed.
I love it. That's huge right there, you guys. And you young athletes listening that aren't the prototype right here. You're getting it from somebody that looks at athletes on a daily basis. He says the game has to slow down. It has to look a little bit easier for you. There has to be some nuance that makes you different. So you guys can make it. And I see some of our favorites coming in. The great Coach Hughes says Joe Morris, Desmond Howard I'm seeing. Some guys a little bit before their time. We're getting on to our next topic, you guys, and we're going to have a great show tonight because we got somebody that loves talking football. And this one I'm going to throw to you first, Guru. Recently heard the great Reggie Bush say, hey, I see all these kids making money, but you can't even get to this point in the NIL story. without covering my story and what I did in 2005 and how they took his Heisman and all of that. So I want to ask you, Guru, when you think about guys who we're talking about came at the right time, when you think about biggest NIL checks, guys who missed out in any sport, give me Guru's top 3 that you think of when you think of NIL too early. They came too early.
Let me ask you this first, Coach. Is this regardless of era?
Regardless of era, regardless of sport, but you got to keep in mind the TV has to come into play for the real NIL money. So it had to be somebody that was on the tube.
Okay. I would definitely say Reggie Bush would be in my top 3. I would say Reggie Bush. If my top 3 going from 3 to 1, I'd say Reggie Bush and Vince would be tied for 3rd, right? Because you got to put Vince in the equation, man. Like one of the best college quarterbacks of all time, bar none. That's not even an argument.
Okay.
Like, not even an argument. I would say
when you think NIL got robbed.
Think NIL, I would say Mike Vick, because what he did at Virginia Tech was just, I mean, other than losing to that Florida State team that was beyond stacked, you could not stop him and the Hokies, man. You just couldn't. He literally put that entire football program on his back, damn near, by itself. And then you know what else I'm gonna say? I'm gonna actually say, God dog, I know I got it at the tip of my tongue. I'm gonna go ahead and say Champ Bailey. But the reason I'm saying Champ and what he did at Georgia was because throughout all this Travis talk and all the things that he accomplished, Champ was doing that. Champ was doing it, man. And it's like, to me, Champ came up, obviously, but to me, he wasn't mentioned enough. And what, like, statistically, and what, I mean, the dude was getting, like seven tackles, 2 pass breakups, a pick, and then like 117 yards receiving. And he did that consistently. So I'd have to put Champ on there too, man. Because, I mean, as far as NIL, with him running both ways pretty much full time, like, that would have been sky's the limit for him at Georgia when he was in school.
And we got to know those are some good ones. And we got Coach Hughes coming in, agreeing with you on the Vince Young and the Bush. He says the whole Miami Hurricanes from the 90s.
Yeah, that 01-02 team. Yeah, Jesus.
Well, according to that one booster, they were getting NIL back in the early 2000s.
Right.
So they were already getting it. To me, I'm going to go old school again. I think the 90s was the greatest era of college football, and I will not take any opposing viewpoints because it was the greatest era. Orlando Pace. I mean, the guy was the human pancake machine. And at that era, I mean, you could imagine the deals he would have had with every breakfast company in the world.
Every
Denny's. He was at Ohio State. He was, whether it was Denny's, whether it was IHOP, whether it was back in the old days when he had Bob's Big Boy, Caro's, all those breakfast places. Facts. But he also played at a blue blood. And I think that's a big part of it, too. Is like, you got to be a blue blood program to really be that NIL guy. The other guy I would go for, we say Reggie Bush. I mean, look at the guy who was handing him the ball. I mean, you could not epitomize college football in Los Angeles in the 2000s better than Matt Leinart. I mean, the guy looked like $1 million. He's doing NIL-esque commercials now, 20 years after he got done playing. Yeah. He was in Hollywood. He looked the part. He was, the guy that never had a hair out of place because that offensive line never let him get touched. I would have to put him right there as well. And then I'm going to go, even real old school. And because, you're talking about Deion being that 2-sport guy, you think about 2 of the most iconic posters that kids from our era grew up with on their wall. It was Michael Jordan dunking from the half-court line, and it was Bo Jackson shoulder pads and a baseball bat.
My man. And I still got that poster.
Oh, one of my coworkers, we were on a conference call 2 days ago. He's got the autographed Bo Jackson poster on his wall. And you think about what Bo would have been like in the 80s. And I read his biography a couple years ago. And I mean, this guy would have had everything that wanted, because you would have had the football fan base. You would have had, at that time, college baseball was still big. And, minor league baseball was still big. And there was the talk is you got to go play baseball. So Bo was kind of the original two-sport superstar. Yeah. And I think he would have broken NIL records back in the 80s.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he went to Auburn in the 80s without ever seeing a cent.
But no, hey, seriously, man, because it's like it's so crazy. It's like, man, this is 2026, and I'm sure if you talk to any like older, a Nike exec, that was one of the biggest campaigns ever.
Yeah,
right. John Elway. I'm a Cleveland Browns fan. John Elway doesn't deserve any money. That guy ruined my childhood.
He said he ruined his childhood. I got a couple for you, especially if we're going any sport. How about this guy in college?
The number one all-purpose quarterback or dual threat quarterback in the class of 1994.
Yes, and I think this guy would have probably done all right in NIL as a true freshman coming on the scene at OU. And then how about this group? I think their NIL should have been okay in Ann Arbor, Michigan. You talk about market and just captivating the sports world. Yeah, I think all of these gentlemen would have done quite well, and they could have some good commercials together. So very interesting topic, and a lot of guys kicking themselves.
It's so funny when you look at pictures. It's so funny when you look at pictures, man. You take it back to the Fab Five. It's like you can never forget about them. How they literally changed the culture of basketball, even in the NBA. Like for those of you that are too young to remember, I don't give a damn who you were. You might not even have been able to play basketball worth a lick, right? You might have been a suburban kid that can't hit the damn backboard. But I tell you one thing, you had some crazy long baggy hooping shorts, some black socks, and some freaking black high tops. Like Dave.
Big Ruck, though.
Man,
I'm with Big Ruck there. 91 UNLV, even though they did lose in the Final Four.
Larry Johnson.
Larry Johnson, Stacey Ogman, George Ackles, those guys back in the, and again, another one of those, that era where I'm sure they were not getting any compensation whatsoever in Las Vegas. No chance.
No chance. No bookies waiting on them.
There was no
the only
such thing
person we go with back in the day, like nobody ever got anything except Eric Dickerson's gold 1980 TA, right?
And that's the craziest thing is I remember a couple of years ago when NIL started becoming a thing, Eric Dickerson did a commercial for SMU with the Trans Am. And it was kind of like, hey, SMU was doing NIL before. Oh, yeah. And they leaned into it. And it was like, hey, we were doing NIL before anybody was doing it.
I would pay money to see it. See, we got to find that.
Yeah, we got to pull that up. Pull that up. That's classic right there. And we are on to our next topic, you guys. Having some fun with the great Brandon Huffman, you guys. I mean, all of the athletes that we work with know this guy. He is a celebrity in the industry, but does it the right way, you guys. He cares. He takes his time. He gives people time. He does it the right way. So we're on to our next topic, you guys, ripping and running. And this one's an exciting one for all of us football fans out there. Women have taken over, man. They taken over flag football. We don't even think about boys flag football anymore. It's all about the women. And I got an interesting take for you guys. And I'll start off with you on this one, B. Do you think, especially with now flag football coming to college at the women's level, I know Nebraska has a team now. We're talking about the NFL getting involved and starting a league. And then, of course, the Olympics is going to blow the lid off of this thing. Do you think, Brandon, we see flag football for women actually leapfrog maybe women's soccer and women's softball?
I think it's got the chance to pass up softball. Soccer is still so universal, and it's still there's more on the field at any given time that I think that that's going to be tough to catch. But I certainly think it's trending in the right direction. 2 years ago, I was at the Future 50 in Bradenton at IMG Academy, and they brought 50 of the best girls flag football players in the country there for the same event that the guys were at. And
Wow.
there's now multiple girls camps. This past weekend, Under Armour held the girls camp in Arizona, where it's a big time varsity sport. In December, I was at the Arizona High School Sports Awards that they hosted at the Cardinals Stadium, and they had the boys were getting the football awards and the girls were getting the flag football awards. And I mean, it's huge in the state of Arizona. It's huge in California. Now other states are catching up with it. We just saw the former head coach at Orange Lutheran, who parted ways with Olu, just became the flag football coach at Cal Poly. And so you're seeing it, and you think about the only option to play football for girls for most years was they had to go out and play on the guys team. Usually it was like reserved for kickers. Now they have their own sport, and it's a high level of football that's being played, and it'll be in the Olympics in 2028 in Los Angeles. And so like the timing of it is perfect because football has never been more popular. Before the Super Bowl, I listened to a bunch of podcasts with NFL flags director, and they were talking about the rise in flag football and the participation number. So yeah, I think it's certainly trending in the direction that maybe by the end of 2035, it could be the number 2 sport, maybe even the number 1 sport for girls in the country.
Talk to me, Guru. I mean, this is big for Title IX too, where they need to find more ways for women to have sports. Do you think that we leapfrog? I don't think it's getting basketball, of course, but do you think we leapfrog to number 2 a flag, or you think number 3, like Brandon said?
I would say number 3. I mean, I can agree with that. Soccer is such it's still the world sport. It's absolutely huge. But we're talking about a solidified number 3 in the future. I can definitely see that happen. It's just growing by leaps and bounds. You have a lot of these girls now that, their dads play ball or their brothers play football, and they've just always legitimately were coached under really have football IQ, right? And really under, and they have the physical talent as well. So, I mean, it's going to continue to grow, man.
Oh, no, it's fun. And I've watched it, and these girls are not playing. They're competing. They're hungry, and they're getting after it. And once the Olympics comes, this is really going to blow the lid off of things. We are on to our next topic. You guys enjoying our time with the great Brandon Huffman, now with Rivals. Most of you guys are used to seeing him on 24/7 Sports, but now B is with Rivals, but still doing a great job of covering this amazing sport. I want to go to you, Brandon, with this topic. There are parents right now that are stressed out. They know that the transfer portal is hurting the high school kids. Let's say I have a parent that's on the forefront of things. My son is in 8th grade. He wants to play college football at a high level one day. He's got some talent. What's some advice from Brandon Huffman as far as what I need to have on my radar to position him coming out of 8th grade?
First of all, chill the heck out, parents. You let your kid develop, because, and I've seen this. My son played travel baseball, very average high school baseball player. Good solid. There you see him right there. He works in personnel now at Arizona State, but he was a good solid high school baseball player. But he had a very limited ceiling, and he knew it. Too often, the parents want it more than the kid does, and they're doing everything to sabotage their kid's career, moving them around to different schools, demanding guarantees from coaches as freshmen that they're going to play varsity. And now they start to develop a reputation that kid becomes toxic as a 9th grader. And that follows him around to multiple schools. And now if he's toxic to high schools, where's he going to get the film to produce for colleges to be impressed with him? Where is he going to be able to produce any kind of reputation that makes him worth recruiting? So the first thing I tell parents is just relax. Let your kid enjoy those first couple of years of high school before you start putting the pressure on to get an offer. He only gets to sign with one school. So if you have 10 offers as a freshman, all you're doing is putting a bigger bullseye on him now. Now you're going to have to make him deal with all the social media posts, because the haters will come out. You're going to, make other people make him the ire of their depression or their anger because their kid's not being recruited at that same level. So make sure your kid even loves the game of football. Make sure that they love it as much as you want them to love it. And then I just say, be very intentional. Don't get him out ahead of his skis. All right. Don't take him to the big college camps as a freshman where he probably has no business being physically, all for him to get demoralized, all for him to get just overwhelmed talent wise, to the point where college coaches remember, oh yeah, I remember that guy. He was on his back the entire camp. So it's just be patient, be quick, but don't hurry. That's a phrase that I heard a coach say one time. Be quick, but don't hurry. Be quick in making sure that this is what he wants to do, but don't rush things. It'll happen organically.
I love that. I love that advice right there. And many parents need to listen to Brandon on that one. Guru, you're out in Houston, Texas, where it's for real, for real. You got an 8th grader. He's got some size. He's making plays in Pop Warner. What do you got to do to get him in position?
I mean, man, no, this to kind of piggyback what Brandon said, man. And I've said this before, on previous shows, man, a lot of the issues with these kids and how their fate plays out has a lot to do with the parents. You're there as a parent, to guide them. And things have changed. I mean, like I said, we're having these type of conversations because you are seeing 7th and 8th graders starting to get offers. I mean, it just is what it is, man. If you're that caliber of athlete, but it's about, man, having a good relationship in regards to your coaches. And as they move up through the high school ranks, if you feel like that you need some additional representation or whatnot, whether it's going that route, or even, man, just speaking with other parents in the community where their kid is going to, play ball on the next level. And communities are created where these type of discussions can be had. That'll help as well. But I agree, the one thing you do not want to do, whether you're talented or not, is have your kid with any negative connotations, because it's one thing that people forget. Your kid might be a bona fide 4 or 5-star killer, but when you look at the nation, he ain't the only one by far.
Great point right there. Great point. Brandon, before we move on to the lightning round, what's your feeling on which high school the young man goes to? If you're looking at a couple of kids on film, but this one's at Bosco or Mater Dei, Santa Margarita, and this one's at a public school that might not have the best competition, is it very important to go to the right school? What's your feeling on that?
I mean, you can make that argument for, and you can make it against. There's a lot. Charles Power, who I work with, the director of scouting at Rivals, he wrote a great article about how the superpower high schools have had less draft success than schools that don't have loaded rosters. And now, are you good because you're good, or are you good because you have 10 other Division I players on your offense or 10 other Division I players on your defense? Does that allow for you to look better because you're part of the superpower team, or are you a talent on your own? And so there's a lot of coaches that are now maybe more averse to going after guys from big time programs. Yeah, maybe it's easier to get an offer early on in your career when college coaches come to your school knowing that there are 20 Division I football players there, but you still have to back that up before they're going to make the investment in you.
Great point right there. And yeah, I've seen that because, and Q, you could probably affiliate with this too. You hear somebody real hyped up from this big school, De La Salle something, then you get them on campus and it's a little bit more puff and air than actual product in the bag.
Yeah, but and I mean, we've been saying that too, and I mean, I've been making comment on this for the longest. This as far as high school programs in general. That's one reason why I still like to see the Katie's and the North Shores and the and the DeSoto's and the Duncanvilles and the East St. Louis Flyers. Big ups to my man BG back home. You guys get steadily cranking out killers because these schools are public schools and they play the absolute best in the country. They're playing the IMGs and all these private schools that are getting recruited. That's one thing that I miss about the high school ranks is I miss the solid public school organic program rosters where these kids have grown up together since 8th grade all the way through seniors, and they've built a program, and you have a coach that's been there for 15, 20, 30 years. That's what I miss. I don't like the fact of kids bouncing around from school to school to school, like Bia mentioned earlier. I can't stand it. And I get you want to put your kid in the best position, but I will always be a fan of a homegrown public school in this era that still kicks ass.
100%.
We are on to our next topic, you guys, and it's something that, you guys are individual contractors, you young football players out there, so you got to do what's right for your individual situation. So that was great advice that many of you guys need to run back as far as getting in position to be recruited. Thank you for that. We are on to our next topic, and we almost have Brandon out of here, and we appreciate his time. He has been through the lightning round before, but we are back, baby, for the lightning round, where this is our version of word association, where our guest has 60 seconds, you guys, to get through our list of people, either or, and we're going to see if Brandon can win dinner tonight. So I don't know if your wife is cooking, but she might have a day that she doesn't want to cook. So you got to win for us to have a dinner on me and Guru. And the number is 16. If Brandon can get to 16 or higher, he's got a dinner on the locker room show. So you've been through it before, B. You ready to rock and roll?
Let's do it.
All right. First thing that comes to your mind, do not over elaborate because that will take too much time. We got you at zeros right there. Now he gets 1 for tech delay, you guys. So even if he gets to 15, he's in the mix. And then for those that always tune into the locker room show, we got some special point opportunities at the end of the show too with the new Strike It Gold section. So right there, he's at zeros, and we are about to rock and roll with the lightning round. All right, B. No elaborating. First thing that comes to your mind, baby. Let's rock and roll. All right. Number one on the lightning round with Brandon Huffman from Rivals. Number 1, B. Azusa Pacific. Go.
Christian Okoye.
Jeremiah Smith or Julio Jones in college?
Jeremiah Smith.
Favorite dog breed?
Golden Doodle.
Best high school quarterback you've ever seen?
Oh, shoot. Oh, goodness. I'm going to go Bryce Young.
NIL.
Love it. Should have happened 20 years ago.
Short ribs or brisket?
Brisket from Texas.
Taylor Barton.
Taylor Barton. Beat USC on the last second field goal in college.
Swim with dolphins or ride a camel? 50 seconds.
Oh, swim with dolphins.
Dan Lanning.
We'll win a natty in the next 5 years.
Cold plunge or sauna?
Cold plunge.
Favorite movie snack? Time.
Red Vines.
Red Vine. Okay, I'm with you on that. We'll give them.
I'm a
Twizzler
the
Red
fan.
Vines.
Give it to him.
Taylor Barton cost me. I had
right.
to laugh too much at Taylor. It cost me like 10 seconds.
Well, I know that quarterback question would get you because all the QBs you've seen over the years, like, oh, damn. I knew that was going to get you.
Typical.
Yeah. You've seen a lot of
okay, so B had a tough one, but whenever you're in the Bay Area, B, it's a lunch on me anyway. So let's add them up and see what we got here and see what he was talking about. Azusa Pacific, that's his old college. He said Christian Okoye. A lot of you young athletes don't know about Christian Okoye, the Nigerian Nightmare. Real deal. Jeremiah Smith or Julio Jones, the college version. He says Jeremiah Smith, number 2. Number 3, favorite dog breed. He says Golden Doodle. I don't even know what that is. I got to check it out.
That's what our dog is.
Okay. Number 4, best high school quarterback you ever seen. And this one was tough. I knew it would be tough because he's been doing this for a long time. He says Bryce Young. Number 5, NIL. He says love it. Number 6, short ribs or brisket. He says give me the brisket. Number 7, our friend Taylor Barton. That was a funny one too. Beat USC last second field goal. Number 7, swim with the Dolphins or ride a camel. He says put me in the water with the Dolphins. Number 8, Dan Lanning. He says we'll win a natty in the next 5 years. Number 9, cold plunge or sauna. He says give me the cold plunge. And then number 10, favorite movie snack. I'm going with them. He says the red vine. So with the tech delay, Brandon gets 11. Definitely applauding him there. The quarterback deal got him. But we do have our last section of the show. Now, if you are with us live and you have a question for Brandon, now's the time to put it in the comment section. But we are going to the Strike It Gold section of the show, our last segment. And this is where he has the chance to earn 2 extra points. So we can go from 11 to 13 with this one. Q, do you have a question for our guest tonight?
Absolutely, my man. So, question for the night, B. Trivia question is, which quarterback holds the NCAA FBS single season record in passing yards with 5,967 yards? So we got Baker.
Yeah.
We got Joe. We got Drew back in his Purdue days. And we got Case Keenum with the Houston Cougars down here. So who you got?
I would probably say Case Keenum in most situations, but I'm almost positive that Burrow broke it that year, and partly because they got the 2 extra games.
Q, do we have an answer?
Well, B's the man for a reason. It is Joe Burrow. It is Joe Burrow. 5,000. But think about, man, that's over 400 yards passing a game.
It was almost 6K.
Like, wrap your mind around it.
And how many times did he play late into the second half that season either?
Not much.
Rarely.
The Alabama game and the Texas game, maybe.
That's it.
Well, you got three all pros on offense with him, Jettas, and Chase. So almost 6,000 yards.
That's crazy.
I would have most people would have said Case Keenum too, but B gets the point, so he's at 13. If it wasn't for Taylor Barton, he would have been at 16. Great job. We got Coach Hughes saying, give him 5 for the Red Vines. Coach Hughes,
hey, I'm telling you, man, the Red Vines, I'm telling you. B, I got a question for you, because that kind of blew me back, and I can kind of agree with you. I do like Jeremiah, but the fact you said Jeremiah even over Julio. So let me ask you this, and I got it. Granted, this is
I'm Team AJ Green. So if you would, that's why I will never pick Julio, because in that same era in high school, the number 1 and 2 receivers that year were Julio Jones and AJ Green, and in college at the same time. And I will say to this day, I'm still taking AJ. Julio.
You know what? Actually, AJ, honestly though, but AJ, before he started getting injured, he was like him and the red gun were going to work, dude. They used to go to work in Cincinnati. I can agree with that.
Would you take high school AJ Green over Jeremiah Smith? I mean, college.
Oh yeah, AJ Green. If Twitter existed and YouTube existed when AJ Green was in high school, he would have broken the internet then.
Wow.
Damn. Now, okay, I'll ask you this in regards to college: Jeremiah or Peter Warwick?
Oh, Peter Warwick. I mean, he was another guy who was 10 years too early.
Yeah, man.
That's another NIL guy.
Yeah, he was. Oh my God, man! He was fun to watch. Yeah. He was fun to watch, dude.
Yes, indeed. Well, you guys, we are going to let the great Brandon Huffman go. I mean, amazing time as always. I know a lot of you kids are at track or practice, so you'll catch the recording of this, but amazing job, B. We always appreciate you, man, and the amount of detail and attention you put into your job. We love you for it, man. We appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. Look forward to doing it again, guys.
We appreciate you.
All right, you guys. So that is the great Brandon Huffman, and he is busy. I think he was doing a report while we were on the show, probably on the kid. But, it's
doesn't stop,
crazy.
Man.
It's crazy to how, when we were coming out was when all of that was kind of revving up. Mm-hmm. All of the scouting stuff, and to see where it is to now, depending on the scouting evaluation and the stars, that could put money in your pocket.
Yeah, because remember back, what was it, Tom Lemming? Back then, I think it was Tom Lemming, and I forgot what the other, the other magazine was, but it was like, if you were in that,
Scout, Prep Star,
yeah. But it wasn't to this magnitude now, man. And it never stops, man. It doesn't. So I know the man's, a road warrior, man, but he is awesome at what he does, and we definitely appreciate him coming on.
Yes, indeed. And he was hopping to another show, sent me a private message. He had to get on another show. So we appreciate his time.
Right.
Before we let you guys go, and hopefully you enjoyed the show, make sure that you hit the subscribe button. You guys, we're about 27, 28 people away from 1,000 subscribers, which would be huge. Truly a labor of love. We do this for free, just serving. So if you guys can hit that subscribe button, share with as many people as you can. And then Q, obviously, we talked about something special you're doing. Why don't you talk to the good people?
Absolutely, man. So I put together a short ebook. As I was writing it took me a little bit of time to write, but it's some great information in it in a compacted book. So it's only a little over 20-something pages. It's not really long. I know a lot of these kids, they don't have the attention span to have anything that's lengthy. So I made it short for a reason, but it's just some good bullet points in it in regards to the parents and really understanding on branding, on the mental aspect of the game, which I think a lot of people don't talk about a lot, that we've touched on quite a bit in the show. We put so much emphasis on the physical training and not enough on the mental aspect. And then in regards to NIL, it's understanding your copywriting and trademarking, which is imperative in this era. So those are the things that the book touches on. Check it out on Amazon. It's on Kindle, $9.99. So definitely affordable, but it's a good, short, solid read. Probably be coming out with a series of them, a couple behind that, but that's definitely a good start. If you guys want to go check that out, I appreciate it.
I love it. And you guys definitely run this show back, because Brandon has some good advice, especially that parent section for you parents that are trying to figure this thing out. Also, check out beforeyogopro.com if you are looking for some recruiting support. We work with athletes across the country. You guys talk to a bunch of college coaches today. Check out the resources that we have available for you. And then also we've got some special NIL things coming your way within the next couple of weeks here, you guys. So get ready, because it is a huge opportunity for you guys on the NIL side. And that's what QZ book is about too. So make sure you check out Beyond the Gridiron and go to Amazon. 20 pages. There's no excuse not to get better with that book, you guys. So, Guru, anything for the good people before we get out of here, baby?
Hey, man, absolutely, man. As I always say, man, it's the off season. We talked about this last week, man. I'll say it again. Hey, if you're not a bona fide baseball player on that diamond, get your behind on that track. It's time to go to work. The season will be here quickly. Blink of an eye, you're going to be suiting up for your first game for your next year. Just like that.
Good point, you guys. And there's few things you can do that will get you ready as a skilled person for the season, like track. So, hey, hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. Hit that subscribe button. I'm Coach Wood. That's Guru. We'll see you at the top, baby.